three common mistakes that Chicago home sellers make when they're listing their property. The first is having a pet that isn't locked up during the middle of the day while you're at work or while you're out and about, because then showings can't happen, right? And the more showings you have, the more offers you're going to get, which means the more money you're going to make when you sell your property. So I think that's something to kind of think about. Do we get a dog sitter? Do we send the dog to doggy daycare? Do we put the dog in a crate? Cats aren't so much of an issue, right? You can just kind of let them roam. They're going to hide. And then they're going to come out, maybe go under the bed. And as long as people close the door, which us listing agents will put notes saying, hey, they have cats, make sure the door is closed so the cats don't escape, etc. Those are all very possible things. I've shown many properties in Chicago that have cats and they're just kind of roaming about. Unless the cat is vicious, right? If the cat is vicious and is going to be attacking people, then it's probably not going to be a good bet. If people are allergic to cats, they walk in, they smell the cat, they think, oh gosh, all the carpet's going to have to be taken out or everything's going to have to be clean. That could turn off a buyer if they are allergic to cats. Same would go for dogs. If they're allergic to dogs, well, there's going to be some extra steps necessary in order for them to take ownership of the property and be able to breathe clearly. But yeah, dogs tend to be much more of an issue than cats, just because they are so much bigger. A lot of people are scared of dogs. I personally am not a big fan of dogs when it goes to showings, because you never know the dog. It could be an unpredictable situation. You could be at risk of getting bit. So think of realtors and mailmen and dogs kind of similar, right? Like the mailman's running up to drop the package at the front door, then they're jumping the fence because around comes the dog. You know what I mean? That's kind of the same mentality in real estate for a lot of people, just because there are so much uncertainties. I've been attacked by a dog during a showing. Nobody let me know the dog was there. Nobody told me the dog wasn't locked up. So very interesting there. I touched on the hair allergy, but let's say you have pets and the pets are no longer there, or the pets are at a family member's house or something, but there's still like this odor and this smell of pets, whether it be pee, food, something of that sort, that can really turn off buyers, particularly when it comes to pet urine. I recently sold a property and the tenants in there completely ruined the basement. Like the dog was peeing in the basement. The dog must have been locked in the basement all day. There were pee stains all over the place, and we had to hire multiple odor and cleaning companies to come in there and get that smell out. There's a specific base solution, basic type solution that is used to get that dog pee out. There's a different solution for cat pee. So different animals have different types of urine and they require different cleaning approaches, but it is pretty expensive. So the seller paid a pretty penny to get that taken care of, but we did get the property sold. It ended up being worth it because they tried to actually sell the property with the smell in there, and all the feedback. So when you list a property, you get feedback from the potential buyers, and that helps us learn and figure out what the most common issue is that people are having, why we're not getting offers if we're not getting offers. So as a listing agent, you list your property with me, I will communicate that to you. The feedback is very important, and it comes from the realtor of the buyer. They can submit it on the app, the Showing Time app, which you'll have access to, or directly to me. If they don't submit it, I call, because that's really important data. That's an important data point that we want to know. So that kind of touches on the pets, a common issue that we see, or a common thing that's done wrong with property sellers. The second is going to be decluttering. A lot of people have a lot of stuff. They've been in their property for many years. They've accumulated all these important, valuable items. But it's important to make the space feel big and open. And when a buyer comes through, they're not just shopping based on price. That's kind of a baseline, but they're also shopping on feeling. How does the property feel? Is there a lot of sunlight? Is it a big space? Are the ceilings tall? Do they feel small and cramped and cluttered in the property? Or does it feel open, airy? Does it feel opportunistic? Could they see themselves putting their furniture and their items and having their dog and their partner in this property? Emotions really do sell property. You want that buyer to be imagining all of these things as they're walking through. The more they imagine, the more they become tied to the property, the more that they're going to pay for the property, the more likely they're going to offer, and the more money you're going to make as a seller. So it all kind of ties in. I have decluttered many properties. I can walk through and kind of guide you in the right direction. Hey, we should get rid of this. Hey, let's move that over here. Hey, if we could put this in storage. If you don't want to buy a storage unit, that's totally okay. We can shove it in the back of the garage or in the basement, just somewhere, not in a common space. Like basements and garages are great, right? But then you have moisture to worry about. If some of your things can't be out there in the moisture. So then where are we going to put that? Well, there's other solutions in place. Like we will dissect your specific scenario. We will get a solution in place where it's a win-win for everybody. The most common and the third mistake that I see people make most often is they think that everything has to be perfect with their property. That's just not the case, right? You never know the scenario of the buyer that's coming through. You never know what they're looking for, what matters to them, what doesn't matter to them. Some people, price matters a lot more than the space, or maybe some work needs to be done in your property. And some people are like, absolutely, I want a move-in ready project or move-in ready home. Other people are like, hey, I'm willing to put in some work. I'm a contractor. Let me do this. So everybody's needs are very different. But it does not need to be perfect. If there's a scuffed paint mark, if there's a scuff on some of the paint, if some of the floor is scuffed up, if you have pots and pans out during the day because you left for work and forgot to put them away and it's a little bit janky, or you got some clothes that are on your bed that you should have put away, like none of that stuff really matters. What's most important is that we're getting people through the door to look at the property, because that translates to offers. So not everything has to be perfect for the showings. Every home has something wrong with it. You just have to find out what that home is. So you know by living in your home what is wrong over time. But until you live in a property, that's when you start to figure out what is wrong. It's not frequent that buyers walk through 2-3 times and they can point out all the problems that they're going to have. Sure, there are big ones, but then it comes down to like, okay, there's no light switch there. There's no coat hook there. There's no towel rack there. I wish this light switch was over here on this wall instead of that wall, because I have to walk all the way across the room. So it's a very interesting game as you kind of move into it. But yeah, not there's no perfect property. There's always something wrong. Don't let insecurity of having a don't let perfection, like to strive for perfection, ruin an offer or a good buyer. Because maybe that good buyer needs to come on a 2-hour notice. They're only in town for X amount of days and they're leaving tomorrow, but we don't let them in because something was a little bit mixed up. Well, maybe your offer, really high or a good offer, just walked out the door, and now we're never going to see that because they weren't ever able to look at the property. Particularly in the first 2 weeks, right? You want the things flowing in the first 2 weeks. You want to create competition. If we can start a bidding war on your property, that's going to be a really good thing. If you can't, so be it. I'll do my part as your listing agent and get you top dollar, top value. I've sold a lot of properties in my life, and it's been a fun journey, and I love being on the negotiating side. I love representing sellers. It's my absolute favorite. It's such a cool process, seeing somebody get and sell their property, either to move on to something new and better, to close a chapter in their life because they want a big check, whatever the case is. I've done all of those things. So yeah, those are kind of the 3 big things. Having a pet that kind of gets in the way of showings, not decluttering so the buyer can imagine themselves in the property, and 3 would be thinking that everything needs to be perfect. Hopefully this was a helpful video. I am a local Chicago realtor and insurance agent ready to help you represent your property, sell it, get you top dollar. I love doing hard things. I'm a marathon runner. I'm training for an Ironman. I'm in the Army. I've been sober for 2 years. I love hard things and I thrive in there. Cheers. I hope you have a blessed day.